Hello everybody and welcome back to another edition of Q&A. I guess Q&A has just gone ahead and replaced channel updates because I don't do channel updates all that often anymore. So we're going to go ahead and do some Q&A. Now this video is probably coming out and I'm already out on vacation. Just for I'm taking a little bit of some time off. It's about 2 weeks. I'm going to be in British Columbia, Canada. I'm going to be in Vancouver, and then I'm also going to be on Victoria Island, doing some stuff, being in nature, being in contact with the beautiful, beautiful West Coast before it gets too cold in Canada. So yes, so I've left some videos that are gonna hopefully tide you over till I come back. Um, right. So what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna be looking at obviously some questions, and I'm gonna be answering them. So without further ado, let's just jump into some of the questions that I've randomly selected. Comments also included in this category. Leovius said, "This is insane. Please let this be for an RP server, please." This is in regards to the Strat Restored mod. The important thing to say about this, Leovius, is that it's a resource that's available for download. So anyone who has their own server can actually use this and implement it in their servers. So if you belong to an RP server and you're interested, or you might have friends already from other roleplay servers, just let them know. Give them a link to the video. They can go ahead and implement that, and hopefully you'll get to play it. Next question is from CL. Hope that they will actually rebuild Stormguard in retail for the 10.0, maybe? This is for, obviously, we're talking about retail WoW. Yeah, I think it would make sense, especially after BFA it was retaken officially. The lore I think states that Stormguard was retaken. The bit that they did in BFA, I agree, it's disappointing. It's just walls and stand-in buildings, and they sort of removed any of the old structures of what the city ruins looked like. So hopefully they'll do that, and they'll do that some justice. I don't have too much faith in WoW or in WoW development these days, but you never know. All right, Sam is asking the following question. This is some great work. Do you know about Turtle WoW? They are making custom content in Vanilla WoW. I think you should definitely work with them. I've answered this question a couple of times. So the thing is, it's like I don't really dedicate myself full time to modding. It takes a fair bit of time. A lot of the work that you see is work that I've done over years. Some of it, sometimes I have bursts of a lot of productivity, and so I'm not I don't work well with larger teams right now, because they have to be people who are really, really dedicated to the team's vision of what they want to do. So what I do is I just do whatever I want to do when I feel like I want to do it, and then I try and share it with the modding community. I know that there's some problems because what I do is obviously done for Wrath of the Lich King. Vanilla, I have heard of people downporting into vanilla. I have no idea how that works, so I don't even know if it's worth the effort for people from Turtle WoW to downport some of my resources. But they are very welcome to them, as is everybody else. Enthused Norseman, who is of course a long-standing friend of the channel, a very loyal person. Shout out to you, Enthused. Not sure why, but I always love little fantasy villages. This one is no exception. Thank you, Enthused. Yeah, I agree. I think some of the best things about WoW are the small, quaint little villages. WoW is a big game, but still the issue of scale is something that people have to learn to interpret a bit better. So when you have these little tiny towns, they're supposed to be little hamlets, you know, um, and it's always is great to build them. And so building this one was in regards to the North Vale village that he's talking about. So yeah, I agree. It's one of my favorite things is to just have little villages, little hamlets, little outposts. It's always fun to make those. Second question is looks great. Actually feels pretty big. How does it compare to vanilla Theramore, for example? This is in relation to the Southport video. Um, it it's technically smaller than Theramore. Um, but Theramore is an island, um, which is a larger island. But if I were to take into consideration Southport, like the city proper, plus the shoreline, it might be comparable in size to Theramore. Still, I think Theramore. My intent was not to make Southport a sort of like a bigger port than Theramore. It's sort of the furthest southern port that is still sort of Colteris affiliated. So yeah, so that's the answer to that. The next question is from an actual adult. Got to appreciate how the outro music always sounds like I'm just about to watch a porno. Yes, I replied to this on YouTube as well. You're absolutely right. I'd never noticed that the outro music that starts creeping in into the videos sounds like you are about to watch a porno. But I don't judge. I think that that's that's a great thing. It's about the same type of satisfaction that I get. No, I'm not gonna get weird, but that's a funny comment. Thanks for the comment. An actual adult that put a smile on my face. Following comment is from Paco 69420. I'm a big fan. Always love to watch your video. My brother makes fun of me quite a bit, but I think he just doesn't understand. I like playing Heroes of the Storm with my best friend Poo Poo Boy and Celine Dion 69420 and Taylor Swifty Hands. Love all your work. Thank you very much, Paco 69420. Sounds like you're having a lot of fun with your friends. Big shout out to you. Red Savan is asking, which race are these, or which race should these barbarians be? And by the way, I really like the color of the roofs. Right. So this is in regards to the latest video of North Vale, in which I'm no longer you're no longer hearing my voice, but you have some information at the beginning of the videos. So the barbarians in question here are supposed to be humans. Um, the headcanon. So I'll tell you a little bit about the regions behind Stormwind or north of Stormwind. So you have North Vale, which is kind of up on sort of like a plateau, and some cliffs that dive off into the ocean. Immediately after the park and cemetery district of Stormwind, you have these battlefields or this fields where there's a destroyed little village. The idea for that area is that it's an intersecting area with that has a connection to Blackrock Mountains, and so there's going to be some old orc gates there. And then you have the northern regions northern to that, which are kind of like the Dunmorrow foothills, which again connections with the Searing Gorge. So the idea is that during the First War, the orcs invaded and obviously devastated Stormwind. So you'll see a lot of that in these areas, the scars of the First War. And in my own headcanon, which comes from a bit of a challenge from some friends we used to be friends in a role playing server. years ago, and the question was, how would you go about in defining a barbarian human in World of Warcraft? And the one of the most common answers to that we could figure out was, well, it would have to be humans that were sort of raised by orcs or enslaved by orcs, and that would severely mark their attitude. So out of that, the orcs obviously take some humans and they take them to these slave camps. This would be the original horde, and they use the slave labor just like you can see in the game now. If you go to the Blackrock Mountain, or I don't even know if now in retail, but back in the day, you would see slaves or enslaved NPCs and whatnot. And so the idea is that after the fall of the old horde, after the second war, the remaining young, healthy human slaves that were left there sort of took advantage of the moment. They saw that the orcs were scrambling, and so they overthrew their slave, the orcs that enslaved them, and they became independent. But this by this point they've been put through gladiatorial combat. The orcs would do many things to them to entertain themselves, and so they're this very rugged group of human survivors who don't necessarily share a lot of love for their Stormwind forefathers, mostly because they think that they were abandoned by Stormwind. But also, I think it sort of um, it's important to understand that probably some of these humans, there's very few of them that are old and that have very um, strong emotions towards the alliance. So a lot of them are young humans that were born to like the liberated older enslaved humans who have this mix of culture between having used all of the orc resources, weaponry, buildings, because they live in their former encampments. So that was the idea behind those barbarians. It also allows me to create like barbarian NPCs in the woods, because the idea is that the main settlement will be neutral and that they will be their own thing that wants to be there in the wilds. But then you'll also have like the Defias Brotherhood equivalent. So you'll have a group of non-friendly barbarian NPCs that are always trying to you know just mess people up. Right. Following question is by John Johansson. Dude, that little watchtower is brilliant. The usual human scout tower takes up so much space, it's hard to use because its footprint wants it to be a centerpiece of a settlement, but it's so dull inside and useless that it makes it hard. That thing is perfect. Thanks, John Johansson. Doing the edit of that thing was always sort of a little priority for me. It's very much like the Watchtower in Warcraft 3, which I really appreciate. So I did that. There's a tiny little flaw in the texture there that I haven't been able to fix. However, I will tell you this, a new version is coming up. Krysic sent me a version in which he modeled a little bit of the interior of that tower. I still haven't gotten around to implementing it. But once that's done, I'll make it available. And of course, all credit goes to Krysic. He's such a talented modder. Taco, I love your content so much, and I have a question to ask. Have you ever done an Alterac keep restoration? Been searching for the internet for one, and if anyone has it, it would be you. Hi, Taco. No, I don't. I'm sorry to say, I don't have that restoration. It could be in the works. Um, it's just I haven't really gotten around to it. It's an interesting region. It's I don't think there's terribly a whole lot of it. In terms of lore, I think it's mainly in relation to Paranold and Deathwing and whatnot. The second war, right? So it's something that obviously I think it wasn't standing after the second war. Not entirely sure. I need to read up on my lore again. But sorry, I don't have anything yet. But maybe down the line. Absolutely. All right. So I think one of the things that we're going to do is, because I have been talking for quite a long time, so what we're going to do is we're going to break up the video, and we'll have to do it a two-parter. But stay tuned, because there's a lot of like interesting questions, not just silly dumb stuff. So until then, everybody, take it easy and bye-bye.